I don't like to be a hater, so that's why I love to give credit where it's due. The Top Gun movie's amazing. I hope it wins Best Picture. That would, I think, reinvigorate moviedom for a lot of people. Just the notion of a great, super entertaining, well-made movie that everyone can love and that is not meant to be a lecture on some political issue of the moment. So I would love that for Top Gun. I think that All Quiet on the Western Front is amazing. And I don't mean to be nasty, but I just think Colin Farrell is maybe the most overrated actor of our generation. I've never seen him in anything where I didn't think he made this movie kind of worse, and I don't know why he was cast in it.
Splash Mountain. I bet a huge percentage of you who have been to Disney World at some point in your lives know this ride. One of the most popular and iconic rides in all of America. They are shutting it down. It's the final day at Disney World because of the connection to Splash Mountain and a old Disney movie from the 1940s that they have deemed to be racist. And so they are redoing the entire ride. Yes, this is the world we live in. An amusement park ride based in some degree on Joel Chandler Harris, I believe. His stories that were told back in the 1880s. Song of the South was a movie that was made on it. We need to dive into this. We'll talk about it. Also, our good friend Beyonce supposedly took $24 million to perform in the Middle East, despite the fact that she has been ridiculing everyone out there for not being woke enough in the United States, Buck.
I just want to know, Clay, are you somebody who celebrates Beyonce's whole catalog of songs, or are you like me and get everyone mad at you, apparently, because you think good, but overrated?
I don't have a I understand some people are like totally in love with Beyonce. I don't really have a strong opinion on her. Like Rihanna is playing at the Super Bowl, and I like Rihanna more than Beyonce, right? Like if you told me you can pick 5 songs, and I'm not talking about the entire catalog because I'm not one of these people who sits around and watches or listens to entire catalogs, but if you told me you can pick 5 songs from either Rihanna or Beyonce, I would go Rihanna. And so Rihanna, I'm going to be out in Arizona doing the show because Fox has the Super Bowl this year. Rihanna is the halftime performer, and I'm actually kind of excited to see how Rihanna's halftime performance might go. So it would probably, I don't know if we've unleashed a whirlwind there with that take.
Are they going to like wheel out the Rolling Stones again, you know?
Who do you think is better than Beyonce if you're anti? I like Taylor Swift better than Beyonce. I would probably say Taylor Swift. If I were power ranking singers, women singers in the last 20 years, I'd probably put Taylor Swift at my number 1 seed. Who would you put number 1?
The greatest in my lifetime, I would say Whitney Houston. But it's
just a singer, or like, do you really like that many Whitney Houston songs?
Clay,
like, are you running around listening to The Bodyguard while you work out?
Excuse me. I will rock out to I'm Every Woman whenever that comes on. Great song.
Did you see that there was supposedly a transgender uproar about the song Natural Woman being unacceptable to them?
Well, I know that wasn't it, who was it that did Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. I believe you're not allowed to play that song anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's a problem.
It's like offensive to the transgender community.
Yes.
Well,
because she didn't feel like a woman. Maybe one doesn't feel like a woman. One either is or is not, based upon feelings. But we're not allowed to talk about that.
That is when they started canceling Baby It's Cold Outside, I was like, literally, they're canceling everything. We didn't even plan on this, but do you still enjoy Michael Jackson music?
I have gone back and forth with people on this many times. I think Michael Jackson is now, I think the legacy is so tainted that it actually feels, and that's a very high bar for me with artists, meaning like you have to be, it has to be really bad for the art to be so tainted by the person. I still think The Pianist, for example, is a fantastic movie, or The Pianist. But obviously, if you know about the director, you might have. But
I don't even know about the director.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like Kevin Spacey, I would not enjoy. And Bill Cosby, right? There are lots of people out there that have been certainly
I think Cosby's at that same level where
like you couldn't enjoy the Cosby Show now. Like you think twice about it when Bill Cosby's like cutting the cake and stealing a piece. You're like, I can't watch this anymore.
I'm willing to put aside as much as I can to enjoy art for what it is and not take the politics or the history of the individual into account too much. But I do think that there's a line. And look, I think Michael Jackson has one of the greatest song catalogs, certainly of the modern era, and just in terms of the tunes themselves. I think it's hard these days to, would anyone go to? There used to be like Michael Jackson theme nights at a bar that I knew of in New York.
I mean, I'll give you one that I'm deciding right now. Cirque du Soleil has a Michael Jackson performance. Cirque du Soleil has like 8 different Michael Jackson performances, and my kids love Michael Jackson songs. Like they grew up listening to those songs. And we're going to be I'm doing the show tomorrow, Thursday and Friday in Vegas because the kids have a dance competition that they're in. And I was thinking like, hey, maybe I'll take them to the mic. Because how much kid stuff is there in Vegas?
So by the way, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that's a tough one for me. You're the dad, so you've got dad hours in. You've got experience making these kinds of decisions.
Well, also, your kids, at what age do you sit them down and be like, hey, there are sexual assault allegations against Michael Jackson?
Right.
Do I sit down my 8-year-old and explain that he can't like bad
and
because,
the assault allegations, as we know, I mean, they're rape allegations against minors, so it's about as heinous and serious a crime as can be committed. So that's, I will say, if we're creating a standard here for when you can, I think if it doesn't cross the line into criminality, I think I'm usually okay with it. And I think if it doesn't cross,
yes.
No, what I'm saying is, if somebody's like Tim Robbins, I love the Shawshank Redemption, even though Tim Robbins might have the most annoying politics on the planet. There are some others that are like, but like I can separate that stuff. If you get a DUI or, the kind of crimes that, normal people were imperfect, once you get into, anything like murder, rape.
So you would take Michael Jackson off your, like, if you had an iPad playlist or whatever.
He is on none of my
Spotify
playlists right now, I can tell you.
What about your fiance? What about Carrie?
I'd have to ask her. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'm genuinely curious.
I know that she finds Taylor Swift's politics so annoying that she's, not on the T-Swift train.
Yeah, well, I like Taylor Swift, even though her politics are awful, and I would go see a concert if I didn't have to pay $20,000 to go see a concert of Taylor Swift. But we had to make this decision because the documentary on Michael Jackson came out, and we, on the morning radio show, my sports talk radio show, we played a lot of different music. Same thing with R. Kelly. Now, R. Kelly, because he's still alive and can't and was found guilty, I can be like, okay, I don't need to hear Trapped in a Closet episode 47. But Michael Jackson, I feel like because he died and he wasn't able to defend himself for those documentaries, he
was never found guilty in a court of law, which his defenders are always going to bring up. And, they'll say, what about the presumption of innocence? The presumption of innocence now. I mean, I don't find their case persuasive, but I'm just saying this is the case that they made.
I think that's kind of what I'm going through in my head right now with the Cirque du Soleil in Vegas, because there's a lot of things for kids that are wildly inappropriate in Vegas. So I was like, okay, what things out there could the kids go see? And I'm like, the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil. But do I have to sit down with my 12-year-old? What age do you have the conversation about the allegations against Michael Jackson with your kids?
Even like a circus back in the day. I mean, Cirque du Soleil, a circus of the sun. But even the old school circus, which you would think would be among the most family-friendly fare possible, right? The lion tamer and the
I took my
elephant
oldest kid to the traveling circus back in the day.
But people get very upset.
I don't think there are traveling circuses anymore.
That's what I'm saying,
like banned,
Clay.
Right?
People get very upset about the circus as an enslavement of animals that is inherently abusive because of the travel and the close quarters and the training they go through. So even the old school animal circus, a lot of people do not like it.
When did they ban the circus? Because my oldest is about to turn 15, and I took him when he was 3 or 4. So this is something that's happened in the last decade. Like, you can't go to a circus anymore in the United States.
Yes,
they don't exist,
because
right?
the animal rights activists are.
They won.
They get very upset. Look, I mean, an elephant doesn't really want to be whipped and told to sit on a stool. I will say, I think that they're on to something with this, and also that the quarters. It's not like they're in the Bronx Zoo in some massive environmental enclosure that's supposed to look and mimic like their natural habitat. They're moving around in rail cars, basically. So I can understand.
I get that, but if the logic applies for the circus, I would think it would apply for a zoo too, right? Because nobody would prefer to be in enclosed.
Clay, that's the next level. That's the next level. Gosh, we're gonna get sponsored by PETA if this keeps up. People think that zoos, unless it's a specialized breeding program to keep an animal or it's a semi-domesticated animal. People have a lot of problems with zoos too in the animal welfare community. So I just come across this stuff because I love dogs a lot, and when you talk to like dog lovers, and you see what they're also supporting a lot of time online, it'd be like, oh, we need to end zoos. You're like, whoa, I thought zoos were the good guys.
That seems aggressive. I mean, I don't know what they would do with all the animals in the zoo. Would they release them back into the wild to immediately be killed because they've been living in captivity forever? I don't know what you do with them.
See, that's also the problem is that, okay, I mean, I guess it's better to be, out there. There are house cats and there are wild cats, right? But if you're a wild cat, the neighborhood mutt might get a hold of you. And if you're out there on the plains of the jungles of the Amazon or the plains of Africa, you get eaten real fast. So I don't know.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of survival of the fittest skills coming out of the zoo. I would also almost guarantee you that where I live in the red states, they are never shutting down zoos. And actually, there would be a huge business advantage because if the blue states started shutting down all their zoos, all the blue state people would travel to the red states to take their kids to the zoo.
You know how you're a Civil War nerd because you went to Civil War camp. Yes. I went to Bronx Zoo Camp, Clay. So this has been in me for a long time. I went to a camp at a zoo where we just walked around, and we actually got to like hold and
there's a Bronx Zoo and a Central Park Zoo.
The Central Park Zoo is like really a place where you have cocktails while you watch the seals splash around. It's very small. It's very it's little.
The Bronx Zoo is a big zoo.
The Bronx Zoo is a massive complex with a whole other level. It's more I think like the San Diego Zoo. I think is a really tremendous zoo. But I don't know. Maybe we need to have a zookeeper on.
That is the Top Gun primary soundtrack song, and it has been nominated for Best Picture along with Avatar, Buck's favorite, which has now gone over $2 billion worldwide. Avatar has sixth highest grossing movie of all time. Now, admittedly, they don't adjust that for inflation. But, Buck, when
Hold on. I have an important Avatar
yes.
question.
Yes.
Avatar one was trash, and I'll fall on my sword. I don't care. I just never going to budge on this one. It's a garbage movie. I know it made $1 bajillion, but it's a garbage movie. Do they charge $20? Or is this the 3D thing again, where they're charging people special fees?
I don't think 3D, but they definitely put it on IMAX. I watched it out in Park City with my kids, and we were in what I would call a standard, like movie theater, and the cost was normal. But that's why when they say like the highest grossing movies of all time, it should totally be inflation adjusted because certainly when we're talking about 10% inflation, I don't know how much movie ticket prices have gone up lately, but it costs way more to go to a movie in 2023 than it did in 1933, I think. So comparing it to Gone with the Wind is not that fair.
Yeah, I remember going to movies with my parents in New York City growing up, and it was like $7 for adults. And then they raised it to $9, and it was like, oh, man, that's getting expensive. I rarely, if ever, go to movies these days. It's like a once a year or every other year event for me. I feel like I've been to movie theaters where it's like $25 a person, and if you get some popcorn and some sodas, going to the movie will run you $100 for a family of four.
It definitely has gotten way more expensive. We go to the movies quite a bit with the kids. Like, I'm looking at these movies, the Oscars Best Pictures. I have seen Top Gun. I've seen Avatar. Did you see Elvis? I've heard Elvis is not bad. And did you watch All Quiet on the Western Front? Didn't you say that was pretty good?
On Netflix? It is excellent.
Yeah. It's nominated for Best Picture, too. I heard it was good.
Yeah, that for any of you who think enjoy a very good, very realistic war movie, All Quiet on the Western Front is really exceptional.
And then my wife ordered The Banshees of Inisherin, or I don't even know how you pronounce that.
Inisherin?
One of the... it was awful. I mean, I like almost all movies. This was the most depressing, awful movie that I've seen in a long time.
I don't like to be a hater, so that's why I love to give credit where it's due. The Top Gun movie's amazing. I hope it wins Best Picture. That would, I think, reinvigorate movie.
They should make it the Best Picture.
A lot of people, just the notion of a great, super entertaining, well-made movie that everyone can love and that is not meant to be a lecture on some political issue of the moment. So I would love that for Top Gun. I think that All Quiet on the Western Front is amazing. And I don't mean to be nasty, but I just think Colin Farrell is maybe the most overrated actor of our generation. I've never seen him in anything where I didn't think he made this movie kind of worse. And I don't know why
thought he was actually pretty good. It was just the most awful. Did anybody else on the show in the background here see the Banshee? Did anyone like this movie? You can tweet me if you
I tried to have
it.
a Sexton family movie night with this one. I played that, with my parents and Carrie and my brothers. We played the trailer and everybody was like, nah, not doing it.
It was the right call. I mean, it was so depressing. It was awful. There's people chopping their fingers off. I mean, I had to go pick up my kid halfway through, and Laura and I were watching it, and she was like, "Do you want me to pause it?" I was like, "Just watch it if you want to. I'm out." I was actually glad to have to go drive and pick up one of my kids. That's how bad it was.
What? So you want obviously Top Gun? Is there anything else on the? I mean, the Everything Everywhere All at Once with 11 Oscar nominations. I've tried to get Carrie to sit through that movie with me or to start that movie with me several times.
It's the favorite. Odds makers expect it to be the Best Picture. And
I'll just say that every time we've tried, we look at the trailer and it just looks so strange that we've kind of bailed at the last minute. So
I think it would be a huge statement if Hollywood would put Top Gun Maverick in the Best Picture seat, because nobody watches the Oscars anymore. Because by and large, a lot of people haven't seen these movies, and they reward like these usually very left-wing, like not very enjoyable films. And so I feel like if they gave Top Gun Maverick the Best Picture, yes, all the movie purists would be upset. But I think it was like Titanic won Best Picture like 25 years ago, right?
It used to be in our youth that the movie that was just the most awesome movie of the year, a lot of the time, won Best Picture. That was a thing. Braveheart.
You would have seen
Gladiator.
it in the theater. Like, it was not uncommon. Gladiator. Like, you're right. Like, movies that people genuinely went and see and liked won pretty regularly.
And the last 10 years, it has been like the wokeness awards for a lot of the Oscars. I mean, they come up with movies that went, I never even heard of these movies. But you're right. If they want to make it relevant again, how about pick a movie that's relevant to people, as in they go see it? Good idea.
How about Tom Cruise has never won Best Actor? If you're the greatest actor of your generation, shouldn't you win?